Hello, I'm Mariel Brown and this is Sancoche, a delicious melee of Caribbean people, food and craft. This humble-looking pod in the palm of my hands is the raw material for one of the most desired foods in the world. And speaking, of course, of cocoa, which goes towards making chocolate. And chocolate, as we all know, is something that makes us feel good when we're depressed. We eat it when we're happy. Sometimes we eat it because we think it might have some aphrodisiacal qualities. Chocolate for me is a luscious, delicious, tempting, wonderful thing. And so today, Sancoche is about the humble cocoa pod and the divine chocolate. We're at the Tortuga Estate today for a crash course in cocoa growing. It seems as though cocoa was always destined to be a special crop, graced with spiritual and magical properties and viewed through the ages as something sacred. Drunk by the Mayas and the Toltecs, chocolate was reserved only for a chosen few. In the 16th century, Cortes took cocoa to Spain, and the golden bean, as it has been called, continued its odyssey, becoming ever more refined and growing in popularity and availability without ever losing its remarkable allure. By the 18th century, cocoa was a staple crop in Trinidad, with estates being planted through Mariel and Santa Cruz and in the Montserrat Hills. Going to the Tortuga Estate is a bit like stepping back through time, with the cocoa harvest happening in much the same way as it did 100 years ago. Estate owner Pablo De Verteuil is taking me on a tour. So, how long have you been the owner of the Tortuga Estate?
58 years.
And tell me how you got into this cocoa business.
Born in it.
Yeah. Your family?
Grandfather, father, and then me.
Right. So you're a family of, so is in your blood, you say?
I would say so. That's all I know in my life.
Yeah. Tell me, why did you stay in the business? Because it did go through a very, very bad period, you were saying, in the 60s. Why did you stay in the business?
Well, when you were born in something, you get accustomed to it. It's not very easy to leave it.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about...
It's not to say for the encouragement of any financial gains that I remained in it. I remained in it more for... It's because that's what I knew from birth.
You must have some love for the business, though, do you?
Yeah, sure I do.
What about it?
I don't like to see a bulldozer throwing out my cocoa trees.
Mm-hmm. But what exactly about the business is it that you love? Why?
The whole thing, to see creative, you plant a tree from a seed or from a slip, and to see it produce, and the quality that it produces, and the quality of the end product.
Trinidad has some of the finest cocoa in the world, doesn't it?
Well, sure.
Why is that?
It's not because it's the flavor of it, and they've tried to put it all, carry plants from here all over the world, and it has to work.
Something to do with the local...
the environment.
Right.
Soil, environment.
Tell me a little bit about the process. What happens when you pick the coconut? Cocoa. Not the coconut, the cocoa.
Well, you bring it into the fermenting house down there.
Right.
And you leave it there for 6 days. Every second day you turn it over.
Why are you doing that?
To get an even fermentation.
Right.
Because with the heat, you create a certain heat for the... It's a key thing in the preparation of cocoa bean, because that's where the flavor, where you bring out the flavor, the bean expands.
Right.
And then after that, you put it in the trays for another 6 days, and then polish it.
Right.
And then you bring it across to the storeroom there, grate it, and bag it.
Why do you think cocoa isn't processed in Trinidad? Because a lot of, I mean, apart from the local cocoa that you make cocoa tea with, we don't actually...
Yeah, well, Charles Chocolates, and there were 2 or 3 of them that do a small
production.
quantities. Yeah.
But the quality just
But I think in the
isn't...
days gone by, cocoa needs a certain temperature to keep.
Right.
And with our tropical climate and whatnot, it never could stay any length of time.
Right. And so you send most of your cocoa away, or?
Yes.
Where
Well,
do you
local,
send
we
it?
sell local, but the local board also exports all of it.
Right.
So you could say most of all Trinidad cocoa goes away.
Right.
Just like Charles Chocolates or whoever small manufacturer, well, they get a certain amount.
Right. So who do you export to?
Anybody. The States, England, France, Italy, anywhere where we get an order.
Unfortunately for us here in Trinidad, very little of our homegrown cocoa is processed locally. Apart from cocoa tea and a marginal industry, the truly superb chocolates are made elsewhere. But still, it's kind of good to know that the most sought after chocolates in the world probably have a little bit of Trinidad in them.